Well, hello there, and welcome to MBA 512, Business Planning and Strategic Management for the summer of 2013. I want to I'm going to create this video to give you a quick overview of how the class is going to work and what you're responsible for. When I create an online class, I try to keep it as simple and straightforward when it comes to the instructions of managing the course and your workload and expectations for what you're going to learn. Um, I have taught many online courses over the past 15 years, and I've also taken online courses, so I know the perils and pitfalls of various online courses, what works, what doesn't work, and I think you'll find this class very refreshing if you've taken another online class with another faculty member. I think you'll see my approach is a little bit more organized and a little bit easier for you to manage. This is a 6-week class, and we have a lot to do within the 6 weeks, and we have a lot of learning and reinforcement of core strategic management skills. Okay, so let's get started with how the class works. This is Blackboard. This is going to be how we're going to facilitate this course. So in Blackboard, I put together under announcements the Getting Started section. So in Getting Started, the first thing you should do is go to the course documents and view the syllabus. Uh, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Also, you can watch the video syllabus, which actually you're watching right now. Um, so that point is a little mute, but you get the point. Also, you'll notice through a lot of my presentations and videos that I may make a mistake here or there. I kind of do it as if I was in the classroom, and I don't go back and make everything perfect. So you'll just have to, just as long as you realize that and don't get, it's not a, 100% perfect production. Anyway, continuing. Assignments. There, I want you to look over the assignments tab. We're going to do that in a minute. See the discussions tab. We're going to also go over that in a minute. See our Stony Brook Connect room, which is right here, and the class schedule, which I have below. So I've organized everything quite nicely in the class schedule. So let's go back, take a step back, and we'll go through this pretty quickly. Let's look at the syllabus online. So I'm going to go to course documents, and then I'm going to go to syllabus. Let's see. Okay, now in the syllabus, there's something I want you to recognize. Up top here, Dirty Secrets in Soap Price is an example of a student response. This is where I have a case study example of sort of what I'm looking for when you complete the case studies in the class. So I wanted to put that right on top above the syllabus so everybody looked at that. And this is basically a PDF. This is a short case about price fixing in the soap industry. So I usually string together a couple of articles and they're related to the case. Now here is how a student would respond to the case. Of course they would. I've taken the student's name off of this. I would appreciate it if you put your name on the top of all your submissions. And basically they answer the question to the fullest. They even, and this is a very important part, went out to find additional sources of information to help balance out the question. So it's not related up. Your answer should not be 100% from the article I provide. That's just a getting started point. You should go and try and research and look up additional sources or material that can support your answer. You shouldn't make any claims unless you can support it with fact. So you can't say, oh, Tide is the #1 selling detergent. You can't just say that. You have to actually link me to a site or a source that provides backup for that. So keep that in mind when you're providing answers for me. And you can see this is a short case, only 4 questions. And typically the length of the answer depends on the question. You see how long the first response is and how short the second and third response are. So there is no minimum or maximum to writing these documents, these case studies. It's just really what the question calls for. So you can kind of read this over again, idea of what I'm looking for. Okay, back to Blackboard. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the syllabus. Now, this class is both asynchronous and synchronous. The asynchronous part is the majority of the class. I'm going to provide videos, documents, lectures, tests, assignments that can be accessed at any time, day or night. You just have to keep track of the due dates for all these assignments and complete them before the due date. And you also must connect to the discussion board and post um, replies or original posts to discussion boards. And I'm hoping for everyone to check in at least 4 times a week to read and post to the discussion boards. The synchronous part of the class is I will hold online office hours on Tuesdays from 2 to 3 p.m. These are voluntary, optional online sessions that I'll be sort of like office hours on campus. I'll be there to answer questions, look at any, you know, regarding the work or the topics we talk about, or any problems you may have with your grades. We can talk about it there. Now, to connect to the online office hours, you have to just press this SB Connect button here, and it'll ask you for your username, your net ID, username and password, and you log on. And when you enter the room, you'll see a chat box. And generally, I type chat back and forth with the students. Their video, and there is also an option for voice, and it's buggy, doesn't always work. But if there's a problem that we need to expand out of chat, we can. I can also share documents and show you my desktop through the SB Connect as well. So that's something that we'll can work with. Now, the course description: companies have to have a strategy. In order to be successful, they need a strategy on what they're aspiring to do. And I want to develop an awareness and view on why and how companies start, modify, or change their strategies. Now, the specific learning goals for the course I've laid out here, and I really want students to gain an understanding of, what business people need to consider when doing their strategic planning. Help you learn how to apply certain planning tools and analytical skills to develop a corporate strategy. We'll specifically explore different types of people who have an interest in business, how a successful business gets measured, because measurement is very important so we can do what's called continuous improvement. And every business is expected to continuously improve, specifically in the area of sales and profits, revenues and profits. We want to identify and capitalize on the key strengths of existing businesses. By this, we'll look at case studies and we'll talk about this, but a lot of the Kellogg's book will focus on, pointing out these strengths and how to maintain a competitive advantage relative to other businesses in a similar industry. And number 4, we're going to identify and analyze factors that are critical to the success of a business. What makes a business successful, and what can a business do to become more successful? We'll look at certain strengths and weaknesses and opportunities and threats and apply it to the analytical tools that we will be talking about throughout the course. Okay, so how are we going to accomplish this? Well, basically, I'm going to use a lot of case studies. I'm going to work with 2 excellent textbooks, and we're going to cover most of the chapters in these 2 textbooks. We're going to do an online computer simulation where I'll get more involved in the simulation in a minute. Now, the class time lectures will cover the information in the textbook. Discussion questions will help enhance the learning in the textbooks, and I will also talk about the case studies and current events. Now, the discussion boards are there to help simulate an in-class discussion and help you to think about what we're learning, formulate your opinions or ideas on what we're learning, and read what your classmates have to say and reply to them. So that's really going to take, any class in strategic management, I usually devoted a fourth of the time to discussion in the class. Now, this works very well, but I need you to be consistent with it. So I don't want you to log in for one day and write a reply or two replies and post an original entry and just be done with it. We really need some back and forth. So I'd like it if you could check back multiple times to the discussion board to look at the comments students have left you. Uh, Students may reply to your replies and really try to create a community here to help us further the learning in the class. I also will be recording a series of voiceover PowerPoints to simulate a class environment. So basically, lectures I would give in class, I'm going to be giving them the same way I would give in class, except they're going to be recorded and you can watch them via YouTube at your convenience. Now, again, my office hours are Thursdays, 2 to 3 p.m. online. And when you use the Adobe SB Connect above to connect to it, and I showed you that before. Now, two textbooks we're going to be working with. Book one is Kellogg on Strategy. So Kellogg is a top school, and they're very well known for their strategic management courses and discipline and research. So this textbook really condenses the concepts, the tools, and the frameworks for business people when dealing with strategy. So it boils it all down to the bare essence. So you don't have to, most of the textbooks I looked at had two problems. One, they were $150 or more. So one was $175, and they were about, I don't know, 800 pages. That's just not an expectation. I can't see any of you having the time to read 800 pages, and they're overly complex and verbose. So I specifically looked for a book that was a mass media book, so it would be at a fixed price, and a book that covered all the elements that I want to talk to in a clear and concise format, because I know that time is precious and it shouldn't be wasted. So this book is specifically meant to, one, condense and summarize the main points of what I want to teach and have you learn, and two, not hold you hostage to some crazy prices of these textbooks lately, just out of control. Now, the second book is also a mass market book, and both these books are around $20, is The Blue Ocean Strategy. Kellogg's does a good job in discussing strategy as we know it up until the 90s. Blue Ocean is a next century of strategy and a new way of looking at strategic product strategy that's very innovative and very closer to what a lot of companies are doing today as far as the cutting edge companies who are producing the most innovative and effective products. And it's a fascinating read. I also have backed up on Blackboard the audio version of this that you can listen to that helps supplement the textbook. So it's good to have this book, but I do have the audio files of the book also that you can listen to. That's a great way if you wanna maximize your time by listening to these MP3s. Burn them to a disk, take them in your car, put them on your iPod, and then listen to them when you're driving or you have the time to really think about it. Okay, assignments. Assignments will be posted on Blackboard. So right up here is the bar assignments. You click on assignments, and here we have our assignments. So we have the discussion board, and I'll get back to, I'll go over it now. So the discussion board is basically 18 points of your grade. I'm going to set up 6 discussion board questions, 1 per week. Each discussion board question is worth 3 points. Now you're going to have to go to this tab discussions, which I'll do in a second. I expect every student to post one original response to my question and at least 2 replies. Each post should be between 100 and 200 words. That's about, less than half a page, double spaced. And you earn points for participating in the quality of your answers and replies. So if you go to the discussion board, and you'll see that, let's see, I have week 1, Actually, I have class questions. So here's a discussion board where you can ask me or fellow classmates questions you may have, or confusion that you have about something in the class, or just a general question that you don't mind everybody knowing about that you think might help other students. You can post it here, and then I'll reply, or even other students may apply, are welcome to reply and help. Um, so before we do the week one discussion question, I have this. I wanted you to watch this FedEx YouTube commercial um, that deals with the perception of MBA students, and I wanted to know. This is sort of a starter discussion board. Uh, how do you feel about this impression that many industries feel that graduate students don't have the basic skills for business? And what skills do you think MBA students are missing? And what should an MBA program do about it? Specifically, our program, I guess. So, I mean, just clicking on this, you can create a thread. And once you create a thread, you can, the subject, best to put your name in the subject. Um, and maybe a short description, your name, FedEx commercial, or just your name is fine, and then you hit submit. Of course, you can, or in the text box here is where you would fill out your reply. Um, the week one discussion question is, this is something that, this is the one that is more typical. The FedEx is just sort of a starter discussion that we're going to have the first week. I think it's very interesting. I'd like to hear some feedback from you that I'll incorporate into the program, but also give you, sort of an ability to see how the discussion board works. And it's a more interesting question that you could answer right away from your own experiences. The question one is I want you to think about what company you think has the best strategy, and I want you to describe it to me. Why is it the best strategy? Describe it to me and give me some facts about it. Now, you click on this, and I already created, two Jane Doe and John Doe. I created these. You don't have to reply to these. Please don't reply to these. These are just examples how you can click on here and you could see typically what an example of what a student would reply, and you can also please rate the students' overall postings. For replies and original postings, I would like every student to rate the messages. No one will know what you've rated the student's message, but it sort of like gives me an idea of how you feel about the other students' messages. I'm going to hit OK here. So that was one example. Here's another example on Domino's, and you could see here that I've rated them. I've given them, some full stars on this. Now it's interesting on the John Doe. You'll see down here that if you use some information from a website, you should cite it at the bottom. So that way we have an idea of where you're getting your information from. So whenever you're using information from websites or magazine articles, please cite them. That's the proper thing to do. Now, once you read, this is someone's original post, you just click reply, and down the bottom you can create a reply that should be, a substantial reply, 100 to 200 words, where you're really, discussing your feelings and thoughts on this subject and giving some good feedback and maybe adding a few things they might have missed. Now, if you're in discussion one, when you are ready to post your original, hit create thread and put your name first, and maybe a short description like here, the company name of the company you feel is the best strategy. So that way, when I look down, I could see that I could view quickly who's posted their original responses. Don't post your original response attached as a reply to somebody else's original response. Your original response would be its own standalone thread. Okay, and you can see that I've put the discussion questions here, and I've given you a time, a start time and an end time. So it's not the full week. You don't have the full week to do this. Usually I give you a certain amount of days, usually 5. Sometimes 4, depending on the length of the week. We have a short week because Monday's a holiday here. Now, I don't want you to necessarily, work ahead. That's why I have a start end time. So I don't want you to post to these discussion boards before the start time, unless it's a specific issue you have. You're not going to be online for this time period, and you've let me know, and you can ask me, and I can give you permission to post a little bit early if you have, some sort of reason. But remember, this is an online class, and I expect everybody to be able to have access to the internet at least 4 of the 7 days a week to keep up with their work and keep up with their discussion questions. Okay, let's go back to assignments. So that's one major assignment for 18 points. Then another set of assignments we're going to have are these case studies. And this is case study 1, and I've attached a file, and this one is Cisco. So you click on the file, and the PDF comes up, and I'm asking you 4 questions about Cisco and their strategy. And I have enclosed, some articles I did some research and put some articles together that I felt was relevant to this case. Now, when you answer these questions, I want you to use a combination of what you're learning from the textbooks, what you've learned from other courses, and what you know about the company already, and some research, looking online and looking at other articles and information, the company's website, to sort of, give your responses a little bit more originality than just regurgitating what I've already posted in these articles below. But you also will need these articles to answer the bulk of the questions. So the replies to the question will probably be 80% answered by the articles I present below, and 20% answered by some original research and thought that you put into it. And that mix varies depending on the question. Okay, so how do you submit this case? Well, you type it up in Word or PDF. Don't cut and paste into the text box. So when you hand in the questions, you're going to click this Case 1 link right here. Once you click it, I want you to click Browse My Computer and then search for your Word or PowerPoint. And I would like you to save it when you create a case for me. Save it where you put your first and last name, and then say case 1. So that way I know who it's from, I know what case it is. It makes it easier for me to grade and provide feedback. And you just attach that file. You don't have to leave me any comments or anything in the text box, and just hit submit. And then I'll have it attached to Blackboard, and I'll have a copy of it. And you'll also see it whenever you click on the link. You'll see that your copy's there, and if you can always re-download it and check it to make sure that you submitted the proper file. Okay, so that would be the first case. And this case is due on May 30th. So this is, you have a short time frame to kind of turn this around. With a 6-week class, I don't have the luxury of giving you very extensive, lengthy due dates. So everything is going to happen pretty fast here. The third assignment we should worry about right now is the Zoom simulation. If you have used the Zoom simulation before, that might have happened, because I think the late Don Alexander, unfortunately he passed away this year, he was using it in the finance class. I'm not exactly sure why, but some of you may have had this simulation before. The good news is I have 2 pieces of good news for you. One, you don't have to pay for it again. If you just email the customer support and say that you're using it again in the same program, MBA program that you used it once before, they can reactivate your account. And I've already checked with them to make sure that that's still their policy, and they said yes. Also, this is something you'll be working on as an individual team. I'm not going to, since it's an online class, I'm not going to torture you by putting you in teams of 3 and expecting you to meet online and work through your team. So you're going to be a team of 1. So you're going to create a team of just 1 person to compete with everybody else in the class. Now, if anybody in this class objects to doing the simulation, maybe on the grounds that, if you've done it once before and you really don't feel like doing it again, or feel like there's much more for you to learn with it, that's understandable. I can give you an equivalent assignment, which would be more of a very large case study. That case studies are generally around 7 points. So I would give you a case study that would sort of be double the size of a normal weekly case study that we do. And I would make sure that this assignment is a comparable amount of work compared to doing the simulation itself. If you don't like to write, the simulation is probably a lot easier to work with. There's really not much writing involved. Now, I would like, if you are going to do the simulation, I'm assuming everyone's doing the simulation unless you specifically tell me you're not doing it. If you click on this link, it'll bring you to the Zoom simulation. Make sure when you click on this, you open it up in a separate window. Don't open it up inside a Blackboard. That always creates problems for everybody. So maybe cut and paste this link, and most links are always going to work better outside the Blackboard environment, not inside the Blackboard environment. And here you would just click on student registration, fill out this registration, and of course, unfortunately, this is not a free simulation, so you will have to pay for this. And my goal for every class I teach is to keep the material costs below $100. So between the two textbooks and the simulation, you'll be well below $100. So I usually use that as my guide, because I feel bad. I don't want students to pay a lot. Definitely, I don't think students should pay more than $100 for, materials for any class they take. So I am sensitive to that. Now, once you create an account, you're going to use the class code June512 as your class code, and that'll attach your account to my simulation. And I would like you to run the individual practice round 1 and 2 by May 31st. Don't worry, I'm gonna after this, I'm gonna start working on creating a video to explain the basics of the simulation and how to get started with it. These are the due dates for the team competition, the classroom team competition. Here are the due dates for that. And I basically grade it based on how many points you earn. So this is it's a 15-point assignment. I have to update this point chart here. This is not accurate. But basically, your points are earned when you earn points inside of the simulation. And I kept the full amount of points you need to earn the 100% on this assignment to the average points earned overall in the simulation. So you just have to perform at an average level and you'll get the full points for the assignment. So rather easy thing to do. If you've done the simulation before, it's going to be an easier experience, but I do think the simulation is beneficial even a second time around, and I do incorporate the simulation to a lot of my PowerPoints, and when I talk about certain things of strategy, I try to incorporate it into this simulation so you could sort of see the basics of strategy at work. And as the class goes by, other case studies will be due and have 2, 3, 4 case studies. So I have 5 case studies. This one is based on Netflix, McDonald's, Apple, and Starbucks, so very interesting companies and case studies. And you won't be able to see this, but I have a final exam that is 25 points that that will become available after July 1st for you to fill out, and it'll be open from July 1st at 6 a.m. to July 6th at 10 p.m. So that won't open up to July 1st. So that's sort of your assignments area. So let's go back to the syllabus. Let's see. Okay. So assignments are all posted on Blackboard. The grades, participation is 18 points, and that is basically participating on the discussion boards. The mini cases, the 5 mini cases, will be 5 mini cases at 7 points each, so that's 42 points. And each case has a varying amount of questions. In most cases, most papers are between 1 and 3 pages, usually could be anywhere from 200 to 800 words. You could see my Blackboard example, which is on top of the syllabus here, if you want an idea of how students reply and write these case studies. Now, it's very important with these case studies that you use the space and enough words to answer the questions. So some case studies could be shorter, some can be longer, but I'm not really counting words here. I'm really looking for the involvement and commitment and research you put into your answers, that you've read the articles I provided, that you looked around on the internet or other research, maybe the library databases, to get a little bit additional insight into these questions, and you posted a graduate level paper back to me with citations that you've proofread and that it's grammatically sound. So I'm really looking to see that you have a graduate level of writing on these. There will be a online exam for 25 points. Basically, it's going to be an exam I give you that's going to be short answer questions and maybe some essays to do. And the Zoom simulation will be 15 points, and that's your full 100 points. And this is my grade scale. So let's talk about the test for a second. So the test is really nothing to worry about. It's going to be given to you online, and you will be able to use your textbooks, the internet, whatever you like, to help you complete the test. And it's really reinforcing and making sure that you have an understanding of the basic material that we've gone over in the class. So I just want to make sure that I can assess what you've comprehended and what you learned from the class. And so it's just really a basic review of what we've done in class, and it's going to cause you to kind of look some stuff up and put some things in your own words. But it's nothing to be afraid of. And I give you 5 days to complete it, so it won't take more than a couple hours. But and that's going to be, if you look under assignments, appears on July 1st at 6 a.m. It will appear, and then it'll be due 5 days later. Now, participation. As far as that, I really, the one place we participate is in the class discussion boards. So your original posts and your replies, I'm looking for people to be genuine and generous and helpful to each other. So if you don't post an original response or two replies, or if you post the original response or replies that are insufficient, then you will lose points. And I will provide you with feedback if you're getting into that situation. Okay. So now, after that, I've put the class schedule for each of the weeks in the syllabus. And I'm going to actually just move from the syllabus back to announcements, where I've also posted this menu. So week 1, which starts on May 28th, you're going to read chapter 1, Getting Ready to Do Strategies from the Kellogg's book. You're going to watch the chapter 1 video that I've created. Now, everything is on YouTube, because I find that YouTube is the easiest thing for people to work with. You don't need any software. Everybody knows YouTube. When I've worked with different software packages in the past, people couldn't get it working. It didn't work on the Apple computers. It had it just so much confusion. So here, just take the link. You can copy it, go to a new tab, and just paste it. Hit enter. And then my lecture comes up here. And it's just me going over the PowerPoints for the class. So very simple. And discussion board questions we posted. So this is our encapsulation of what you're doing for the first week of class. And then we move into week 2. Week 2 is chapter 2 of the Kellogg's book, and then I have the lecture for chapter 2 is a little bit bigger, so I have posted it in 2 different links, and then so on and so forth. About midway through the class, we start moving into the blue ocean, and I've created an extended video for blue ocean, and also we have a guest lecturer for the first part of the blue ocean, and I continue with the second part of the blue ocean. So we continue for all 6 weeks. So I have all 6 weeks mapped out and planned pretty well for you to look at and think about. All right. So I also have under announcements some information on how to properly cite your work when you're ready to cite it. Okay. So that's basically the gist of the class. Pretty simple and straightforward. As long as you put in enough time each week, you should do fine. I've run this class online a couple times already and had some pretty decent success. Each time I run it online, I improve it a bit. I take information for what students found confusing or not helpful, or troublesome, and I try to improve it. And continuous improvement is what I do with this course. So, at the end of the class, when you fill out the online evaluation, I encourage you to give me helpful suggestions to improve the class and make it a better learning experience overall. So that's it for the getting started video. Soon I will post a short video on how to work with the Zoom simulation and get started, and I'll run through a practice round with you so you get you a little bit more familiar with that. Okay, great to have you on board. I'm looking forward to an exciting semester, and thanks again.